White Privilege Part 2. Wealth. According to Roderick Harrison, wealth is a measure of cumulative advantage or disadvantage, and the fact that Black and Hispanic wealth is a fraction of white wealth also reflects a history of discrimination. Whites have historically had more opportunities to accumulate wealth. Some of the institutions of wealth creation amongst American citizens were open exclusively to whites. Similar differentials applied to the Social Security Act, which excluded agricultural and domestic workers, sectors that then included most Black workers, rewards to military officers, and the educational benefits offered to returning soldiers after World War II. An analyst of the phenomenon, Thomas Shapiro, professor of law and social policy at Brandeis University, argues, the wealth gap is not just a story of merit and achievement. It's also a story of the historical legacy of race in the United States. Over the past 40 years there has been less formal discrimination in America. The inequality in wealth, however, has been sustained. Wealthy whites were able to pass along their wealth in the form of inheritances and transformative assets. Inherited wealth which lifts a family beyond their own achievements, which continually give advantage to white Americans. Pre-existing disparities in wealth are exacerbated by tax policies that reward investment over waged income, subsidize mortgages, and subsidize private sector developers. Thomas Shapiro argues that wealth is passed along from generation to generation, giving whites a better starting point in life than other races. According to Shapiro, many whites receive financial assistance from their parents, allowing them to live beyond their income. This, in turn, enables them to buy houses and major assets which aid in the accumulation of wealth. Since houses in white neighborhoods appreciate faster, even African Americans who are able to overcome their starting point are unlikely to accumulate wealth as fast as whites. Shapiro asserts this is a continual cycle from which whites consistently benefit. These benefits also have effects on schooling and other life opportunities. Justice. A 2002 Department of Justice survey found that, although the likelihood of being stopped by police did not differ significantly between white drivers and other races, Black or Latino drivers were 3 times more likely to be searched than white drivers. Young white offenders are likely to receive lighter punishments than minorities in America. Black youth arrested for drug possession for the first time are incarcerated at a rate that is 48 times greater than the rate for white youth, even when all other factors surrounding the crime are identical. Employment and economics. Racialized employment networks can benefit whites at the expense of Blacks. In a study published in 2003, sociologist Deirdre Royster compared Black and white males who graduated from the same school with the same skills. In looking at their success with schoolwork transition and working experiences, she found that white graduates were more often employed in skilled trades, earned more, held higher status positions, received more promotions, and experienced shorter periods of unemployment. Since all other factors were similar, the differences in employment experiences were attributed to race. Royster concluded that the primary cause of these racial differences was due to social networking. The concept of who you know seemed just as important to these graduates as what you know. Since older white males predominantly control blue-collar trades, they are more likely to offer varying forms of assistance to those in their social network, often other whites. Assistance can be anything from job vacancy information, referrals, direct job recruitment, formal and informal training, and vouching behavior and leniency in supervision. This assistance disproportionately available to whites is an advantage that often puts Black men at a disadvantage in the employment sector. These ideologies provide a contemporary death blow to working-class Black men's chances of establishing a foothold in the traditional trades. Other research shows that there is a correlation between a person's name and his or her likelihood of receiving a callback for a job interview. A field experiment in Boston and Chicago found that people with white-sounding names are 50% more likely to receive a callback than people with Black-sounding names, despite equal resume quality between the two racial groups. White Americans are more likely than Black Americans to have their business loan applications approved, even when other factors such as credit records are comparable. Black and Latino college graduates are less likely than white graduates to end up in a management position even when other factors such as age, experience, and academic records are similar. Housing. Discrimination in housing policies was formalized in 1934 under the Federal Housing Act, which provided government credit to private lending for home buyers. Within the act, the Federal Housing Agency had the authority to channel all the money to white home buyers instead of minorities. The FHA also channeled money away from inner-city neighborhoods after World War II and instead placed it in the hands of white home buyers who would move into segregated suburbs. These practices and others intensified attitudes of segregation and inequality. While discriminatory practices have since been outlawed, there are still unofficial tactics which take place to advantage white homeowners and disadvantage minorities. Property ownership is one of the most valuable assets one can obtain. But most white families have acquired their net worth from the appreciation of property that they secured under conditions of special privilege in a discriminatory housing market. This net worth accumulation assists in placing whites in more favorable conditions to receive low-interest loans, mortgages, and financial assistance in the housing market. Here's a quick picture of some additional ways whites are privileged. Whites are offered more choices. 60% to 90% of housing units shown to whites are not brought to the attention of blacks. 72.1% of whites own their own home opposed to 48.1% for African Americans. 46% of whites had help from their family in making down payments on homes compared to 12% for African Americans. Whites are half as likely to be turned down for a mortgage or home improvement loan. The median home equity for whites is $58,000 compared to $40,000 for African Americans.